So let's start the show with the latest on the terrible incident that took place over the weekend, the mass stabbing attack on a train going from Doncaster to London on Saturday night. The Sun's headline is Devil on the 1825. That's when it left Doncaster, and they think a picture of him basically going towards the train with a knife on him. 11 people were injured. One of them remains in a critical condition. Armed police arrested the alleged attacker within 8 minutes of receiving the call to meet the train at an unscheduled stop in Huntingdon. Police have, in the last few minutes, said 32-year-old Anthony Williams has been charged with 10 counts of attempted murder, 1 count of actual bodily harm, and 1 count of possession of a bladed article following the attack. So that's breaking news here. Anthony Williams. He's now due to appear at Peterborough Magistrates this morning. Obviously, we can't comment on his guilt or innocence, but it takes us back, doesn't it, to the attack and how awful it was.
Absolutely horrible, Jeremy. This is something that I learned as it came slowly on our news cycles, and my thoughts really are with the victims and with the families of those victims, and the heroism of some of those passengers, including the attendant from LNER, who apparently saved lives with his actions using utensils on the train, on the platform, or in the carriage itself.
Or throwing things from the trolley and stuff at him, I mean, that's amazing. If it was the guard who put himself in harm's way, that's exactly what the guard should do, but not all would.
Not all would, and I think it's, you suddenly see real courage when people are tested like this, and it must be the most horrifying situation because you are trapped. I don't mean to sound frivolous, but there was a dreadful movie decades ago called Snakes on a Plane, and you think you suddenly had the image of being trapped with danger, and with no thought of escape. And this is the same thing. And of course, what was terrifying for people was that everybody was rushing, people were trampled, but people were obviously pulling the emergency cord or whatever it is you do these days, or smashing the glass thing. And of course, the train wasn't stopping. Well, what they didn't realise was that the train driver, thank God, and my God, he earned his salary, and people should not be whinging about train drivers being paid too much, because he had only minutes to get to get into that station at Huntingdon, which he was supposed to be on a fast track going through Huntingdon, and got it so that they got the signal, and so he'd get into a platform. Yeah. Because if he just stopped where he was, the emergency services couldn't get to them.
Well, that's the thing. If the train stops the second someone pulls the cord, which they used to in the old days. You stop in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Okay, but the doors can open. At least people can get out, but then the danger is that they go the wrong side and they get hit by an oncoming train. So there's a real danger of stopping in the middle of nowhere. We can speak to 5 News' chief correspondent, Tessa Chapman, who is in Huntingdon this morning, and the investigation is still going on. A suspect has been charged, as I mentioned. We still don't know why the attack might have happened.
No, we don't, Jeremy, and as is usual in these kind of situations, police are urging people not to speculate. But as you mentioned, they have been updating us over the last 36 hours or so, and just in the last 10 minutes we've had that really critical update. They say Anthony Williams, who's a 32-year-old man from Peterborough, was arrested on Saturday evening, and he has now been charged with 10 counts of attempted murder, 1 count of actual bodily harm, and 1 count of possession of a bladed article following that knife attack on the train. Another man who was also arrested on Saturday night was released without charge yesterday. So that update coming from the British Transport Police. We had another update from them last night, which was interesting in that it praised the actions, the heroic actions, as you've been talking about, of the train driver who very quickly made that decision to come off that fast track and come into Huntingdon Station, where emergency services were able to attend here within some 8 minutes of the train arriving here at the platform. The train driver himself says he was just doing his job. He says praise should be reserved for that man who is still in a critical but now stable condition in hospital, the guard on the train, who we understand put himself in harm's way.
Thank you, Tessa. Tessa will have more on the investigation into the stabbings on 5 News throughout the day. Let's just have a look at the timeline then of what happened on Saturday night so we get it clear in our heads here. So We are looking, of course, at a night of horror on the train, and we have to start the journey, as Tessa mentioned, in Doncaster, so we're north of Sheffield, and I've highlighted, this is 6:25 as we mentioned, there's the station, and I've highlighted the train line here as it moves south, and the attacker doesn't board the train, it seems, until Peterborough, so just before 7:30. He boards the train. At 7:30 it leaves Peterborough, and this is when the attack starts. And we can have a look here. This is a Times graphic. He's got on first class, we gather. A witness, we're now at 7:39. Witness in carriage J sees him there. He's moving towards the front of the train. Cambridgeshire police are now alerted, so they're on their way at 7:42. They're coming. A witness in carriage G hides in the buffet cars. Passenger in carriage B is then told about carriage J. He doesn't make it all the way to the front of the train. And at 7:50, we get into this situation at Huntingdon where they've brilliantly detoured the train to Huntingdon station, slowed it down, the police arrive. And then the incident is over, although the second person who's tasered appears not to have had any role in it. So there's the journey for you, Doncaster to London. It gets as far as Huntingdon, and it is, as we say, a night of horror with heroes as well, Nina. That's the key thing.
Absolutely, and you know, it is really heartwarming and comforting to know that people will rise to the occasion. The train driver, I think, is an ex-Navy man. He's been a train driver for only about sort of 7 or 8 years. So, you know, there's somebody from ex-Navy. Compare and contrast Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who was ex-Navy, and what he's done with his life, and what this guy's done with his life since. So,
yeah.
So he's done fantastically well, and you know, you really hope that there are people around if something. But you know, this is a one-off.
Yeah,
It's
not a one-off, is it? Because we keep having situations where people go on rampages. They may not be terror-related.
No.
The
But I mean,
first thing we heard on the train. Yeah, there've been crimes on trains before. This is an unusual, very unusual one. We were told initially that the police arrived on the scene told it was a Plato incident, and that's the code word for a marauding terrorist attack. They quickly discovered that it wasn't, and they rescinded the word Plato, and that was broadcast on the news, but we weren't told what the logic was of that. And it seems that they have just they realised they were not dealing with two people, but with one person. And I wonder whether at that point they thought this is not terror, this is something else.
Yeah, and I have to commend, obviously, the actions of not only those who were on the train, but also the British Transport Police and the response police that were waiting at Hattington as well. I mean, there's going to be evil in every walk of life, and unfortunately this landed on these passengers' laps on that evening on Saturday. But I think you not only commend the actions of the conductor of the train and the NAR person who's now thankfully stable. We also have to commend the actions of the reporting of this, because the way it was reported and the way it was handled by John Lovelace, the superintendent, it meant that social media didn't go array with different accusations or different theories of what was happening.
Well, it did a bit. I mean, there was at least a 12-hour period where social media got very het up about small boats and everything else, which is probably nothing to do with it. But
the temperature was brought down.
That's true. Yeah. They filled the vacuum quite quickly with information, which they have to do. And they now have to do that. I mean, it's a bizarre thing where you see them having to say, the suspect we're dealing with, I'm just being careful not to say too much, is British, and they give their ethnicity or whatever because they don't want it to be labelled as a different kind of thing.
Yes.
And I think I'll leave that there. After the break. So, before the break, we asked the following question: which of these soap stars is Lord Alan Sugar's niece? Rita Simons, Kim Marsh, Jacqueline Josser. It is Rita. Yes, so Lord Alan Sugar is the uncle of Rita. Yeah. Welcome back. We're live on 5 with Nina and Ron. Later we're asking if Keir Starmer should be replaced as leader of the Labour Party. Some people think he won't last after May's local elections. Love your thoughts on that. Now we're going to be taking calls on the stabbing on a train heading into London this weekend. We're asking if there should be at least one police officer on every single train in the country. We're taking your calls 020 7862 2222. To put this into perspective for you, there's roughly 20,000 train services running every day in Britain. Many of those services will be operated by the same driver and crew. So by that logic, they could also have the same police officer on board too. So in other words, there'll be driver drives maybe 3-4 trains a day. Is that workable, Nina?
To be perfectly honest, no. Not as far as police are concerned. We don't have enough police on our streets. And I understand this is a horrendous situation, and everybody's now thinking, oh my God, I don't want to get on a train with the same thing happen to me. This is hopefully a kind of a one-off situation. We haven't had a situation on a train like this.
So you don't want it to happen?
I would like that. I would like to see proper, more guards, more conductors, more people on the platform, more people on the trains.
It's a train, the thing about a train is it's a tube, it's often packed, you can't get down it easily. We see, people shuffling past the trolley and everything else. One person on the train in carriage G might not be able to get to carriage B before a perpetrator has killed several people, Ron. So what do you think about it?
Well, firstly, I think the assurances today have been great, because I'm hearing that at train stations everywhere there is a police office presence there. But I agree with you, Nina. I don't think it's plausible, given the magnitude of the train network around the whole country, to have a police officer on every single train. Where I see us going forward on this is perhaps, this idea that, stop and search should always be conducted, maybe even in random places. Had this man been found with a knife before boarding the train, or walking around Doncaster or wherever he'd boarded in, that could have saved lives. So I would look towards things like, improving the facial recognition technology that allows us to spot people like these and actually pinpoint where we do our stop and searches. So I would argue for more stop and search, but not perhaps having police officers on trains.
Len, in Suffolk, do you think we could have a police officer on every train?
No, it's practically impossible. My answer would be we've got 3 of the best mobile phone networks in the country, all equipped with 4G, equip the trains with closed circuit television throughout. British Transport Police would have 24-hour access at their HQ, and you could keep an eye from a distance. They could be in contact with local police forces to say we're diverting a train into X station like they did the other night.
Yeah.
They could be sitting there waiting for them.
Okay.
I think with modern technology, the only thing is the Scottish Regional Authority or government or whatever they call that thing up there wants to do away with the British Transport Police in Scotland.
Do they? But they must still be in favour of having a transport police force. Or is under Police Scotland, is it, Len, that they're going to have?
They're not at the moment, but they've been trying to get it for the last few years.
All right. OK, Len, thank you very much. Let me just go to Kenny in West Sussex. Kenny, you think we should have police on trains?
No.
No?
There's not enough place to do it. I, by the way, to everybody on the panel and to yourself, I've been on a couple of times with various things.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we should have bouncers on the train, licensed bouncers, and have a walkie-talkie that is straight to the headquarters. Licensed bouncers with a baton the police would use.
I must say that does sound effective. Licensed bouncers with a baton. The truncheon.
It sounds like a bit of a recipe for disaster, actually.
Well, it's the sort of thing you might have in South America, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. But you can have a bouncer outside a nightclub. You just can't give them a baton. I
think there should be a feeling, and I say where I want more people in charge, a feeling of responsibility, a feeling like somebody's looking over the system. So, because a train is a very anonymous thing. You rush through a station, there's nobody there to ask. You get on the train, there's nobody. You are on your own, basically. But if there was a feeling of somebody looking after, in the olden days when there was, more conductors and more people generally, you felt that you were being taken care of, which you don't feel today.
We have got. This is not a police officer on all trains, Ronnie, but we've got a police officer at every train station today. You think that might be the way to do it?
I think so, because what that presents is a deterrent. People thinking twice about coming on those trains with items on them that is not, that might cause harm.
I don't know.
I actually do think so, because it's the best thing that we can do right now, because having, as Len said earlier, we can use technology to sort out some of the things, such as, for me, I would really argue for facial recognition technology, which is already available to us, but we're not yet implementing it in the right places. I think the trains could be one of those places where we could do that, where we know which passengers are coming on, whether they've got record that could be suspicious. But I don't think that we can't have permanently from now on police officers at every train station. They need to be out there doing their job in the communities.
David's in Liverpool. Hi, David.
Good morning, everybody.
What do you think?
Yeah, couple of points. I live in Liverpool. I use the train quite frequently, only short journeys. We have inspectors on, and the platform's full of security guards, ticket inspectors. They're dressed like police officers. Quite intimidating. Also, I was in London a couple of weeks ago. Got the train down to London, got my ticket checked, got on the train, ticket checked, came off, get the train straight back that night. The amount of people that went through the barriers with no ticket and paid nothing,
really?
I was quite staggered.
Really?
No, Jeremy, listen, I live in Liverpool. I only went to London for one day.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was in this country. It was quite intimidating, the amount of people that were coming through, pushing past me, no ticket. When the barrier opens, 2 people jumping through.
But I mean part of it is they sometimes open the barriers so you don't have to show your ticket. They may still have a ticket, and they're going to get inspected on the train, aren't they?
People were jumping over the barriers. They weren't getting on the train. They were actually on the platforms. They were just looking around for a bit of crime.
Oh, God.
Going to the facial recognition. If you're not known to the authorities, you can have 1,000 cameras on your face. If you're not known, it's not going to pick it up.
Well, also, this guy could start whatever he was, his attack on the train could start, and it doesn't matter if you've got 6 police on the train, he could have taken the lives of 5 people before they've even realised it's going on.
Absolutely.
So it's not, Thank you, David. Sylvia in Durham. It's just miserable, Sylvia, this, isn't it?
I think it's really sad. But I think we need sort of police on the trains, but unfortunately the police is so few and they can't cope with every day-to-day works. I do think that if there was more people on the platform showing some authority would be a good thing, but to be honest with you, Jeremy, I think these people are evil, and if they're going to do it, they'll do it irrespective of whether we've got a train full of police and a train full of staff on the ground.
Ron?
Yeah, Sylvia, thank you for that. I think we do actually have plenty of police available for some of these journeys, because we have the British Transport Police who do frequent going onto the platform and going onto the trains. So that's something that is already there. But I probably would agree with you on one count, which is that there isn't enough British Transport Police to go around. There isn't enough resources to go around. But having deterrents, such as British Transport Police, in areas turning up randomly might just help. But in the long run, I do think that facial recognition and technology is the way forward.
OK, 3,600 British Transport Police, and 20,000 trains running every day. Sylvia, thank you. After the break, we're taking more of your calls on this. What do we do here? Police officer on every train and every station, train bouncers, or nothing? 0207 862 2222. We'll see you shortly. Before the break, we asked who wrote the invitations for the singer Robin Thicke's wedding. We gave you Dolly Parton, Elton John or Meghan, and it was Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. This goes back a while to sort of 2005, so it's 20 years ago, and she was working for a stationery company, and she did the calligraphic invitations.
Good for her. So she's had that sort of vague creative talent.
Yeah, she's very creative. Yeah, I don't know why people are so negative about her. Sometimes we just mention her and it just goes, are you negative about her?
No.
OK, right. It just kicks off. Later we'll be asking if baths are better than showers. That's important. Which do you prefer? Maybe you've got neither. Neither? Oh, I see. You just use a basin.
Oh,
Well, we'll do that another day, I
please.
think. Yeah. Do you only use a basin? We'll do tomorrow. Now, more of your calls on putting police officers on every train journey. Everyone's saying we haven't got the police, but we've had armed bouncers as a suggestion. Also, there is the army as well. You could put soldiers on trains.
Yes, but
Could
then
you not?
we're going into the, it's kind
We're
of...
not in martial law.
We're not martial
No,
law.
we're not.
We're not a police state yet.
Yeah, but Sue in East Sussex, you would feel safer with police on trains.
Hi, Jeremy. Hi, all.
Hi.
Yes, I would. I had an incident a couple of weeks ago whilst travelling from Lewes to Eastbourne. I always buy a first-class ticket because I feel a bit safer. And I was in the carriage by myself towards the end of the train, and a man walked into the carriage, walked up and down, looked at me, eyeballed me, and gave me verbal abuse, very nasty verbal abuse. Sat in the seats in front of me, and I thought, well, I can't go behind because there's only a little bit of carriage, and I knew the conductor wasn't there. And I thought if I go forward, he could trip me up or grab me. So I sat the journey from Eastbourne to Lewes in absolute panic. It was very, very frightening. I'm not a shrinking violet because I work in a Cat B prison. So, I can look after myself, but that made me feel very vulnerable because out in the country, I thought, what on earth am I going to do?
And do we, on that train, Lewis to, what was the end destination?
Eastbourne. Well, I was going Eastbourne to Lewes.
Eastbourne. Was there anyone on the train with a uniform apart from the driver?
I didn't. There probably was
Ticket
because it was a
inspector
Victoria train. There probably was, but he would have been further up through the carriages because it was a long train. So quite possibly, when I got off, I spoke to ground staff at Lewes and explained what had happened, and she was going to ring through to the driver to speak to the conductor. So I guess there was a conductor on the train somewhere.
Right. Ron?
Yeah, I think, Sue, this is where I'm arguing for CCTV and technology, because clearly if you were in one carriage and we had a police officer on there, he could be or she could be in a completely different carriage to you. Whereas if we had CCTV cameras there, what could happen then is that could be recorded. So when we report it at the other end of your journey, that can be picked up and that perpetrator could be found.
OK, Sue, thank you. Cheryl in Nottingham, you want the army in?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, to be fair. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hello.
So just one soldier per train?
Well, yeah. I think our army has shrunken in the last couple of years.
For sure.
Don't
It's
really know
getting
much
bigger
about
again
that.
now, but
It's a smaller army.
Yeah, I think it's 70,000 or so.
70,000.
70,000, yeah. Do you, would you,
Yeah,
you
so
don't-
I think it
Nina
might
does-
be...
But Cheryl, Nina doesn't like it because what does it say if you've got soldiers on trains? If you're a tourist, for example, and you come into the UK to see this wonderful, peaceful nation, and the guy comes down with an automatic rifle.
I mean, it depends if you're getting attacked or not. It doesn't have to be an automatic rifle. I mean, you go abroad places and they've got guns in airports and, in different countries, they carry arms. So I just think if it's going to protect the public, then maybe... what's the option?
I hear you. Thank you.
What would you do if you was there and come to attack you, maybe,
No, I know. I mean, the only safe thing about a train is that it's hard to move down a train, as we know. And if you've got lots of passengers in the way, you'd hope they would stop, But, of course, they panicked, and understandably so.
Absolutely. And the thing is, there are other situations where it's not just some kind of incident like this, where particularly women feel vulnerable because you get a whole mob of on a Saturday night football fans coming on, pretty well drunk, and then that is a sort of a threatening situation. So then what do you do with that? Well, if you're a lone woman, how do you cope with that? If there was some kind of authoritarian figure, I don't mean the army and I don't mean the police, but somebody who's authority.
That's the inspector, isn't it? That's the guy, and that's why they wear uniforms.
You need that. You need that uniformed somebody to make people understand that they can't just do exactly what they want.
Yeah. Thanks, Cheryl. Go on.
But there was that uniformed somebody on this train on Saturday, was there not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was. The guard seems to be the hero of the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't even know if they call them guards now, but that's how he behaved, and that's fantastic. Tony in Essex, what do you think we need to do to make trains safer?
you can do the equivalent to what they do in Spain and France. It's like the Sky Marshals, but they use retired ex-army as a way of a job for them. So they're, it's back to what you said regarding as a bouncer, but, these are retired soldiers who gives them a purpose. They know how to handle themselves and they know how to diffuse the situation.
We're in this situation with a man who comes on at first class in, let's say, carriage B, and you're in carriage G. I just wonder, how feasible is it, as the retired person you described, to move down because you've got everyone coming back the other way?
Sorry. If you're in carriage G and he's in carriage B, and somebody pulls the cord in carriage B saying, and there's an incident's gone on or a panic button, he can get from there to there quite quickly.
Yeah, but everyone's coming the other way. You know what it's like on a train. Once people all move down in one direction, you can't get towards the perpetrator. This is the real problem here. People being trampled. So I don't see how anyone, unless you're behind where the guy started, you can't engage him.
Well, this is the thing, because you are trapped. You can't have a panic button on each seat. I mean, that's not going to work either.
Could you have locking the doors locked between carriages, or does that cause even more carnage?
Then people are really trapped.
Let's not even think about that. Thank you, Tony. Liz is in Kent. What would you do, Liz? You can say nothing if you want.
Oh, hi. Good morning, Jeremy.
Hi, Liz.
Jeremy, I've had 2 incidents this year, 2025. I have no faith in the police, transport or otherwise. I reported one occasion when I was travelling on a train and a customer, a passenger, because I wouldn't get up and give her my seat, picked up my luggage and threw it down the train. More recently, when I asked a fellow passenger who was swearing profusely if he could tone it down a bit, got very abusive, threatening, and the police didn't even bother talking to the witnesses to whom I gave them all the details. So I don't think anything that they do is going to make any difference at all.
No, you've raised 2 interesting examples there. Why was the first woman wanting your seat? What was going on there?
Oh, she wanted to sit with some friends. I'm elderly. I had sat in that train for at least 15 minutes before she got on, and I had some bags, and she just lost it. She just lost the plot.
Wow. That's just ordinary people behaving badly, isn't it? Thank you, Liz. A lot of food for thought there. Later, we'll be asking if baths are better than showers.